go ahead.
All right, let's see. I have to report.
This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Highland Park Planet on January 4th, 2023, and was posted on Borough Hall website at www.hpborough.com and on the bulletin board at Borough Hall at 221 South 5th Avenue in Highland Park, New Jersey, and has remained constantly posted as required by law. The fire exits are to my right and left of council chambers. Please speak into the microphone if you come up to speak. As mayor, I preside over the council meeting and may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement or participation in the meeting. If the participant's statement does not adhere to the 3 minutes provided to each participant for public comments, or if the statement is disruptive to the orderly conduct of this public meeting, is repetitive and not on topic that is relevant to the borough governing body. Pledge of Allegiance. Josh, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Foster.
Yes.
Councilwoman Canavera.
Yes.
Councilman George.
Here.
Councilman Hale.
Here.
Council President Hirsch.
Here.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Here.
Borough Attorney Schmier.
Here.
Borough Administrator Hover.
Here. At this time, I'll call for Borough Council vacancy nomination.
I'll nominate Josh Paselnik, Jason Paselnik.
Second.
Is there any other nominations?
I nominate Norman Vargas.
Second. Okay. And now I'm going to ask for a roll call.
As to
The first one, sorry.
Councilwoman Canavera.
Yes.
Councilman George.
yes.
Councilman Hale.
Yes.
Council President Hirsch.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
No.
So the yes would carry.
The motion passes.
Motion passes. And then we did our roll call vote. So now I'm going to invite Jason to come up to be sworn into office. New council person.
Can I step away for a second?
Go get the kids.
Do you need a
Like,
Bible?
seriously, get them.
Or our clerk will be right back. She has something that she has to get. Do you swear or affirm?
Can I
Do you want a Bible? Or, I don't know. Do you swear or affirm? You can do it with a.
There's a Bible right there. Possible
There's-
motor vehicle traffic regulation.
Oh, you can hold it on.
My kids.
That works. This works. Here you go. I'll be right down. I'm getting the oath of office.
Sure, absolutely.
I, Jason, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Jason Paselnik, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
justly perform the duties of the office of the Borough of Highland Park Council Member
justly perform the duties of the office of Highland Park Borough Council Member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of New Jersey,
and the state of New Jersey,
that I will bear truth and faith allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true and allegiance to the same,
and to the governing bodies established in the United States
and to the governing bodies established in the United States,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people. So much.
And now you get to join us.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Sit here, get to work.
Oh, we got to get a packet, an agenda, and everything.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Is there any question on the agenda by any of the council members? Seeing that there's none, at this time, we're going to have a Black History Month presentation by Reverend Wanda Burrell.
Good evening.
Can you hear me? Okay. Black history is not just 28 days in the month of February. However, Black history is 365 days of the year, 12 months, 24/7. 7 days a week. Black history is a lifetime. I don't get excited about when Black history comes in the month of February because every day when I look in the mirror, I see a Black woman. And I'm a part of the American history. It has been recorded that Africans came to America in August 1619. There were 20 that came to Jamestown, Virginia, who were not slaves. They came by the way of the Viva Cape Comfort as an indentured servants. We were here long before Christopher Columbus got here. We had settled centuries before him. Black Americans have contributed many things to America. We always hear about George Washington Carver for peanut butter. We hear about Marian Anderson. We hear about Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman. All of them paved the ways, and we all stand on those shoulders. But however, there were many. Elmer Lucille Allen was the first African-American chemist employed by Brown Forman. Just recently, 2023, Justina Miles, who was the first deaf Black woman to perform as a sign language interpreter during the 2023 Super Bowl for Rihanna. You had James McCune Smith, the first Black American to earn a medical degree. He also was the first one that started the nation's first pharmacy before CVS and Walgreens and Rite Aid and the rest. You had Lilia Fenwick, who was the first African American woman to graduate from Harvard's Law School in 1956. You had Hiram Rose Revels, who was sworn in as the first Black U.S. Senator in 1870. Gillian Bluford became the first Black person in space in 1983 after the Black ladies laid the foundation, and as we know, the Hidden Figures. Hip-hop first godmother Sylvia Robinson produced The Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang. She co-owned the first hip-hop label, Sugar Hill Records. We all know that gang, know that those rap songs. Sidney Poitier became the first Black man to win an Oscar. 1996, Cheryl Swoops became the first female player to sign for the WNBA. And in 1908, you had the first Black female sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, who was founded in 1908 at Howard University. 1906, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the first male Black Greek organization. In 1854, which I'm so proud of, the Lincoln University was the first degree granting of all the HBCUs during the 1800s. As I close, Black history has been the foundation. Black people have been the foundation of the growth of America and its economy. Enslaved people built the country's early infrastructure and produced lucrative commodities, such as things that we still use today, cotton and tobacco. We created the gas masks, blood banks, where we know peanut butter and potato chips, the GPS system that we use in our phones now because we don't use the old GPS machines anymore. The ironing board. How many people still use the iron? How many people still use the ironing board? Home security. How many people got home security? All right, we invented home security. The refrigerator trucks. You know the refrigerator trucks that bring your milk and the eggs that cost so much? Produce. We produced that. Automatic elevator doors. You know those elevator doors, even though they do get stuck, they still need maintenance. And that was created in 1887 by Alexander Mills. The tissue holder. You know that little tissue holder to hold up the toilet paper that we use? Tissue holders. And most of all, a popular toy that our children use, they've been using for years and years during the summertime, the Super Soaker. And the laser phaco, that one that removes the cataracts from the eyes. For those that may have cataracts removed from the eye. Your clothes dryer. The automatic gear shifter. For those people that still have those cars, 2008, and not have the Teslas or the modern cars. Golf tees. How many people are golfers in here? How many play golf? Just Mayor Ellison? Folding chairs.
No one will play.
We got any folding chairs in here? Folding chairs. That's just to say a few things. And in 2023, we are still building. But most of all, what I want to leave with you about Black History Month, all of us are all the same. We may have, the only thing different that we have is our DNA and the color of our skin. But we all are part of this great community. One face, one nation, and one job to do, and that is to love one another. Thank you.
Well said, Reverend Burrell. Thank you. And now we're going to have a presentation on our reval update by Tom Mancuso, our borough tax assessor.
Not sure how I can follow that. Anyway, property taxes we all know and love, so we'll do our best. The revaluation is more or less complete. They've done their inspections, they've done everything they could do, and this Friday we actually have to turn it over to the county tax board. It's the date they've given us to turn the information over to them. So that's what we're going to do. They've had the informal hearings. They've gone well. Some people, our residents, as usual, are very prepared and very knowledgeable about their real estate and brought up some very good points. And there's some changes being made based on what they brought to the table. So the process, a portion of the process is over. Now the other portion begins because now the data becomes mine. I get to look at it and review and see what they've done. If residents have a question, I recommend they email me because part-time, it's hard to get a hold of me if you call. I recommend you email me because I do spend a lot of time, a lot more time than my wife would like me looking at the emails. But I do, so it will give me an opportunity to respond to you. If there are any questions, you will have until, normally April 1st is the deadline for filing tax appeals with the county tax board. Because it's a reval year for us, we will get until May 1st. Okay, so we do have a lot of time yet to look at this stuff. So if you have questions, call me. I can't make any changes at this point because we'll have to be done through the appeal process, but obviously the appeal process would be a lot easier if I agree that there's something we need to make a change on. And if not, the county tax board, that's their job. They oversee this entire process. They will look at the data we put forth and that the property owner would put forth, and they'll come up with a number if they agree with one or the other or come up with something in between. And after that process, once they've issued their judgments, the homeowner still will have, I think it's 40 days after the judgment is issued to file a further appeal with the tax court. So it's, as much as we like to say it's over, it's really not over. We want to give property owners every opportunity to review and ask questions and go further if they're not happy, or not satisfied with what's happened. But so far the review I've gotten is pretty positive. I haven't gotten a lot of bad feedback. A lot of it might be around inspections. Some people don't want us in the home, and I understand that. But unfortunately, we didn't set up this property tax system where it's done on the value of the home, and you know that an inspection is important when it comes to the value of the home. You're not required to let us through, but if you don't, it kind of hinders your ability to challenge the value when we can't discuss what's inside the house and what the condition is. And generally, what I find is when we get into the house, the issue of appeal goes away because then we get the exact data on what's inside the house and we reach some type of agreement with the property owner. But all in all, it's going very well. I want to thank you as a governing body for helping us publicize this and get this out because we had pretty good response from our residents, and considering the short time frame we had to get this all done, it's pretty decent. It came out nice. I'm happy with it. We'll spend the next year or so just fine tuning and making it nice and tight. But I think the numbers are going to be good from what I've seen so far on askings or recent sales. We're either a little low, a little high, or right in the middle. So it's exactly what we would expect it. So I want to thank you all because it's obviously a revaluation is scary, especially since we have not done one since 1990. But I think, all in all, it's going to make my life easier, and hopefully the feedback you folks will get will be more positive too. Okay? Thank you.
Tom, could you please repeat your phone number again for those who need it?
Oh, come on. You don't think I have that memorized? Ask me my wife.
An email.
The email is easy. It's tmanbrb@hpborough.com.
Okay.
Okay. If you want the number, I can look it up if I have it on my card here, but I don't have it memorized. But for that matter, I don't have it.
Stephanie might have that number, no? No.
There we go. I got it. I got it.
Readily.
732-819-3783. But again, the email would be better because I get those at all hours, and whenever I get a minute in one of my other towns, I will sit and respond. All right.
Thank you. Just a quick recap. You said we're finished here, but the process is that in 40 days, they could still reach out to you. They can reach out to the county, and there's a 40-day process.
No. What happens is there is now until May 1st. They can call me up until May 1st. The appeal has to be filed with the Middlesex County Tax Board by May 1st.
Okay.
Okay? So they have until then. Then the county will issue a judgment, usually sometime before June. And typically, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's 40 days that the resident would have after that judgment if they disagree with it to go further to the tax court. That rarely happens on a residential basis, but I just want the residents to know that is an opportunity.
Thank you.
Just a follow-up question, as much for the audience as myself. If after you speak with someone before that May 1st deadline, are you able to, and you agree that the number may need adjusting one way or the other, do you have the ability to make that?
No, they would still have to file the tax appeal, but
it will be a smoother process if there's a concurrence.
Exactly.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear because I know I wasn't.
There's no adversary. There's no thing. One is right. One is no. It's just yes, we agree, and the county.
And so it's more likely to be a
less.
rubber stamp at that point. Got it.
They approve it without much of a question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Bye now.
And now we're going to go on to council reports. Councilmember Kim Cho-han.
So I know Assessor Mancuso left. I'd like to thank him for coming tonight. He took most of my report and what I've been repeating here for most of the time. I did want him to come, and you guys can hear it from him directly, the update on the reval. CDBG will be meeting Monday, February 27th at 6 p.m. to have our hearings for our grants for this year. And also would like to welcome the new council member. Welcome aboard. Get ready for all of the tomato throwing from her residents.
Thank you.
Also, again, I just want to, if you can't get in touch with Tom, we do also have our the company that we hired to perform this reval, which we pay them a lot of money. The first step, I would say, is actually reach out to them, professional property appraisers, and their number, once again, is 1-800-410-5815. Our Also, another program, the deadline has been extended, I think, about 2-3 times at this point now, but all for good reasons. The anchor rebate deadline is February 28th, 2023. You can apply and get more information at nj.gov/treasury/taxation/anchor. Last night, I attended the first round of the state's championship for the HP varsity boys basketball game. Phenomenal job on making it this far. I am rooting for you. So keep going. Lastly, for those of you who's celebrating, it is Pisces season. So happy birthday to all the fellow Pisces in the room. And that is my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Hale.
Hi, my name is Matt Hale, and I chair the Stop and Shop Talk About Nothing Else But Stop and Shop Committee, otherwise known as Economic Development. I have a quick report tonight that next Tuesday, February 28th at 7 p.m., we're going to have a community meeting about Stop and Shop. At this meeting, we're going to talk about the variety of different things that the borough has been doing. We're going to talk some big picture items about a coming redevelopment plan. It's really an opportunity for us to sort of share all of the things that we've been working on about Stop and Shop, but also to have a series of sort of breakout spaces where we can look at different aspects of the project, different things that we're going to need when Stop and Shop closes, and how we're addressing those. So this is going to be February 28th at 7 o'clock at the Community Center. I think it is a great opportunity to not only for us to explain all of the various things that we've been doing, but also to listen to the community about the things that you're concerned about, the things that you're worried about, the things that you would like to see. And so this is a community-wide event. We'll be posting it. We'll be sharing it widely. Please come if you can. Please come and bring us your ideas and your thoughts, and we'll do our best to have a conversation about what we're doing with Stop and the property and moving forward. So again, February 28th, 7 o'clock at the Community Center. That's next Tuesday, and that's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Canavera.
Thank you. The Board of Health would like to remind everybody that while the COVID, the flu, and the RSV levels are low at the current moment, it's still important that you protect yourself or anybody that may need protection. If you feel sick, please wear a mask, get tested. If you haven't been vaccinated, get vaccinated. The Mental Health Commission is also having an event February 28th at 7 p.m. at the Community Center. It is NAMI's End the Silence program. It's geared for middle school and high school students and their family. It talks about the warning signs of mental illness, what to look for, and taking the stigma away from mental illness. They would also like to remind you that if you are in crisis, the local hotlines are Rutgers University Behavioral Health Hotline at 855-515-5700. The Raritan Bay Hotline at 732-442-3794. Or you can also text HOME to 741-741. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember George.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a brief report. We welcome new Highland Park Police Department officers Ryan Vanneman and Nicholas Sika to our town this month. They're new to the town, but they have experience in other departments, and both are in field training right now. They're very well informed in community policing based on the public safety interviews, and they're looking forward to becoming familiar with all of us and looking forward to all of us becoming familiar with them. And so I'm very hopeful, and I know the chief has them in training right now. Another Coffee with a Cop session is scheduled. Was scheduled for tonight before we knew that there would be extra sessions to the meeting. The chief has gone forward to reinstitute them, or came up with the idea, and then unfortunately, the pandemic squeezed them out for a while. We're back to holding those events on a regular basis now, as the chief felt it was time that we start to emerge and conduct them. There's no agenda for these meetings. There's no plans. It's simply a time to engage with the officers, discuss what's on your mind, and hear what's on their mind. The Highland Park Police Department wants everyone to be aware there's been a continuing rash of catalytic converter thefts going on. In particular, if you have an old Ford Ranger like mine, it's got plenty of room to roll underneath, so they tend to want to hit SUVs and pickup trucks because they're easy to get underneath. Catalytic converters are stolen, and people can make money on them by selling them surreptitiously. Also, cars that are open are being picked through. It doesn't look like much is taken or much damage is done, but please, please keep your cars locked at all times. And if you have a key fob, keep it with you when you leave the car, because it's so easy to gain access otherwise. In addition, the department asks you that you hold your key fobs in a secure place inside. The further place, the better. I keep them in the closet in the kitchen with the metal canisters around it, because there are now search devices on your cell phone where they can actually key your key fob, start your car, and drive away. So please, everybody, keep an eye on your cars, keep an eye on your keys. There's also an uptick in porch pirates lately, so they're stealing packages. If you're the victim of one of these thieves and you happen to have surveillance footage, even if you weren't able to save the package, please contact the police department. Every lead that we get, every surveillance that we get, every video that we get can help us locate and hopefully stop these issues. And lastly, the Board of Trustees of the library met last night and discussed the process for selecting the new executive director. Sherry Johnson, our acting director, is continuing the excellent programming at the library, so there's been no interruption with that. However, the trustees have selected a consultant to aid them in selecting a full-time director, and there are already a few candidates waiting to be referred to the board for consideration. And the personnel committee at the library met after the regular meeting last night to review the process, plan for the interview process, and get moving on that as soon as possible. Other than that, I wish everybody a happy Fat Tuesday. If you're celebrating, hopefully see you later at the celebration. And otherwise, be safe, be happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Our newest council member get a reprieve tonight because you just got sworn in, so you get a pass. Or do you have something you want to share?
I mean, I would just like to say briefly, just thank you to all the members, fellow members of the Democratic Committee of Highland Park for passing me along through the first round, and then thanks to all of you for giving me this really humbling opportunity to be a member of this council. I really look forward to working with all of you. Thanks to all the people out there who spoke with you and put in some kind words. I really appreciate that. And last but certainly not least, most importantly, my family, my two little girls, my wife, their support means the world to me. So again, just really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Hirsch.
Thank you, Mayor Foster. I do want to just echo welcome to Councilmember Postelnick. We're really happy to have you here with us, and because as Councilmember Kim Chohan mentioned, we have a lot in front of us. I don't think people throw tomatoes, but it is important though to make lemons out of lemonade. And so if we're going to use produce references, I think that's a good way to approach our some of the challenging things that we're doing. Very quickly, since we feels like we've been here for a while. Last week, so I'm Matthew Hirsch. Up until tonight, I chaired the borough's Arts and Recreation Committee. Now I'm happy to assume fully the Public Works Committee as chair, as Councilmember Postelnick adopts Arts and Rec, which is a great portfolio where a lot of the quality of life happens. So if you'll let me indulge, I just want to report out on two things in your portfolio.
Please do.
Last week, Windows of Understanding hosted the Liberation Social event celebrating BIPOC and LGBTQIA+ communities at the Zimmerli Museum. The galleries, the museum were were open and guided, and there were guided tours available. The crowd was fascinated by the immersive exhibit of contemporary art by Komar and Malamid. They came to the U.S. from the USSR in 1977 with a powerful and sometimes humorous perspective on society. The sponsoring organizations were represented at the party, with volunteers answering questions about activities and resources available. And of course, music and food helped make the party festive and fantastic. So thank you for that. It was a dark and stormy night. Just to add 243 words and a great story to enter the Highland Park Arts Commission's writing contest. When the clock strikes 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, March 4th, you'll get an assignment emailed to you. You'll get a genre, an action, or even just a word. And you'll have 24 hours to return a story of 250 words or less. This is open to all ages. And to sign up or request details, email hpacwritingcontest@gmail.com before Saturday, March 4th. Please include your name, email, age, and address. It's 250 words. I missed out on the first one. I think we should all challenge ourselves to do this one because it's a very cool assignment, and the Arts Commission really is operating on all cylinders. A very vibrant and creative group that we have. Park Stock is gearing up for season 2. It's 4 days and 4 rain dates of peace, love, and music in July and August. We don't have the final dates set, but there is planning going on. We have Sheila Shukla and Gary Kaplan and Terry Hover and all the planning folks, Kim McGraw, who have helped kind of facilitate this. Mayor Foster, thank you for helping to facilitate this too. It was an incredibly successful program last year, and we really look forward to having another really 4 amazing performances. And it just brings life to the pavilion and the park, and an area that we really want to showcase for public performing arts. And hopefully in the long term we get additional investment down there. I am also happy to report that the Municipal Alliance will once again provide funds for project graduation for the Highland Park High School class of 2023. Last year, the Municipal Alliance helped support project graduation, and this year, the class of 2023, we're proud that the borough will once again contribute to this annual event that gives our graduating seniors an opportunity to celebrate without alcohol or drugs or driving, and with lots of fun activities. That's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Borough Administrator report.
Yes, Mayor, thanks. I just have a quick reminder. If you missed it, the deadline for application to our Park Partners Grant Program is, I want to double check my notes, March 6th. The instructions for how to apply are on our website, and you can just put in the term Park Partners in the search box in the top right corner, and it'll take you to the page and the application. You can also email our Public Information Officer, Harry Glazer, at hpboro.com if you have any questions about that. I will say it's a really kind of innovative program. It's won awards in the state where basically residents can suggest projects that get implemented in the borough, $2,000 each. And it's a really great opportunity to get a little seed project going, and it can snowball into something bigger. So I just encourage everybody to take the opportunity to apply for that grant. And the only other just reminder I had was for those who live on the north side, garbage pickup is tomorrow due to the holiday. Just a friendly reminder to get your toters out early before they come on by. Thanks.
Thank you. Borough Attorney's report.
No report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And now I have a very brief report. The long-awaited, many of you have written many emails, have come to this meeting and have requested that we go hybrid. We're actually working on it, so stay tuned. Coming next month, we should be moving in that direction. So just give us a little bit of time to get this going. With that said, we celebrated the Senior Center. We had Valentine's Day for our seniors, and it was an awesome event. For the first time since COVID, they had over 120 people attended the event. It was well attended. They had a great time, and it was very festive. So for all the staff that made it happen and for all who came out and participated, thank you so much for coming out to the luncheon. We look forward to doing more events such as this with our senior group and making sure that we are creating a harmonious community and a harmonious environment. Teen Advisory Council met last week, And they are very spirited, and they're working on some really good initiatives for Highland Park. And this is the Mayor Teen Advisory Council. They are working on a project, and they're going to be calling a number of you, council members alike, to help them aid to the project that they're working on. It's well worth it, and I'm quite sure each and every one of you will be happy to assist. Boards and commissions, we have a number of vacancies on our boards and commission, and we're asking people to please come out, support our many boards and commissions that we have, because together we can make Highland Park a much vibrant community when we all volunteer to chip in and do so. I spoke last week at St. Peter's Hospital for their Black History Month, and it was an awesome event. The Black Alliance at St. Peter's invited me to talk about some of where we were, where we are, where we're going, and it was a very spirited event, and I was happy to represent not only as a Black person, but to also represent our town of Highland Park. Our replacement supermarket, I know it's every time I talk to someone, it doesn't matter who I speak to, I always say we need a supermarket. So if I meet you and you haven't heard me say I need a supermarket, ask your friends, ask your colleagues. You never know who knows whom. We're looking for a supermarket. It's the number one priorities on all our minds. And I'm going to be in Trenton again. I was down there before, and I'm going back this month to talk about our need for a supermarket and some collaborative corroborations that we can put together to make sure that Highland Park does not become a food desert. 2 weeks ago, I attended a program called Arrive Together. And that was an initiative that was done to help persons with mental illnesses. It's for persons who are going through behavioral health crisis. Governor Murphy and Attorney Plankin announced this major expansion of mental health crisis response, and it's called Arrive Safely. And in May, the program will roll out in Highland Park, Edison, and Woodbridge. And we will, if there's a motion disturbed call that comes in, along with an officer responding to the call, there will be a social worker going with them to aid that person who's in need of help. It's long overdue. We've all heard stories where persons who are mentally disturbed, it hasn't worked out so well for them. So I am so happy that the governor has put in $10 million into this project to make sure across the state that this can expand out to 8 people who are suffering from mental illness. That's my report. Thank you. And now I'm going to move into public discussion. It's time to allot 21 minutes, 3 minutes maximum per speaker, to comments limited to what's on the agenda. If you want to speak on the item that is not listed on the agenda, please do so at the second public comment session later in the meeting. The borough clerk will monitor the time and indicate when 3 minutes has lapsed. She will give you a warning of 30 seconds remaining. There will be a hard stop at the 3-minute mark to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to speak. As a reminder, I may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement if it does not adhere to the 3 minutes provided, or if the statement is disruptive to the orderly conduct of public meeting, is repetitive, or not on the topic of relevance to the borough governing body. Please announce your name and address as you speak into the microphone.
My name is Jill Medinitz. I'm at 242 South 6th Avenue, apartment 5F in Highland Park. I'm a little confused about the gentleman that was here, about the tax assessments on the properties, and the councilwoman at the end. What is their, what her job is, what was his job? I'm a little confused about that.
Council Member Chauhan, please speak to that.
So the gentleman that was here, that is our borough tax assessor, which falls under my portfolio. I chair finance. The borough has went through a town-wide reevaluation. The last time we've had a town-wide reevaluation was 30-plus years ago. So we hired a company. We were actually, the most important part, we were ordered from the county to do this have this process. And so appraisers went into all the properties, commercial and residential, in our town, and now we receive the results, and we're moving forward. If anyone has any questions, they can reach out to our tax assessor, or you will have received a letter. If you're, are you a renter or?
I'm a renter.
Okay, so.
People that own homes.
Yes. Well, no, the renters, if you're in a large, I guess, if it's a development or so, they will have received the letter that he was referring to.
Thank you.
Can I just add something in
Sure.
there too? Because I just thought, and for anyone that's on home, for the renters, I just don't want you to get kind of confused or get scared and think that I'm saying your landlord received this letter. We are working on our rent control policy where there won't be any kind of funny business or any increases, to have things in place where increases will not be passed along to the residents that are absurd.
No, I just have friends that own homes. I'm trying to say, let these people in, make appointments, let these people in so they can get an accurate assessment.
Yes, I appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jackie Zindberg, 239 South 6th Avenue in Highland Park. On South 4th Avenue, I believe it is, between Rite Aid and Stop and Shop, there's a very nice newly repaired street, avenue, blacktop, beautiful, firm, flat, smooth. Last year, it wasn't like that. My cane, the rubber tip, caught on a very big disparity, and I fell. I was trying to get out of the street, and instead I smashed into the curb. All of these bones were fractured. I've had 3 surgeries so far. I don't know if I'm going to need more or not. I'm not fine. I don't see well, and I do have pain. I don't want to be the precursor of the next one that needs to be repaired. And I am also saying to everyone that sometimes silence speaks a lot more loudly than words. Anybody who thinks we should give money, and we are limited, we're a borough. Anybody who thinks that we should spend money on the pretty twinkly lights down Raritan Avenue instead of fixing even one patch, raise your hand now and say you think the lights are more important. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. However, Council Member George, you were just on DPW. You can really speak to our street programs.
We have tried for years and years and years to do more than we can. Paving is not cheap, number one. We did have a great opportunity, though, over the last basically 18 months to 2 years, because we combined, and our borough administrator, Terry Javier, really was active along with DPW superintendent, PSE&G. We were in almost daily discussing it, but because, and you've heard me say over and over again, I was the one in charge of the stuff in the dirt. Underneath the paving, we had to start working on the systems. PSE&G had to upgrade their piping for the gas, which is almost as old as the water and sewer, at 110 years old. As a result, the law requires them to repave the streets. But what we did was we combined our paving program, their repaving requirements, and we got a little money from here and there, and we shifted around a little bit of money from here and there, ignoring the twinkly lights, a lot of the trees, a lot of the plants, that we want to put in. We scaled them back, and then we went into this program, and as a result, I think you can see we did a lot of streets. In some areas, in some districts, we did 80% of the streets, and not just a block. As you know, we do the paving programs, and literally, we're 10 years out in our paving program because the streets have so many years of useful life. And what we try and do is there's some programs where we can tar the cracks, and we usually get about an extra 5 years out of them. Part of the problem is we have to have the DPW guys around to do it, but they're picking up your garbage. So we went to one-arm machines, so we pick up 2 guys per team. All these things balanced out, but this year, if you notice, we did get a lot of streets paved, and hopefully we were able to do a little bit more. But what we did was we saw that all of the utilities were starting to come together at one time, and as a result, we got a lot more paving done this year. Unfortunately, could we do everything? No. Are we going to be able to repave everything every year? No. But also, this year we've had you could either call it a long autumn or an early spring, but we've had really good weather by and large. So Mike Wazirkowitz, our superintendent, has put the paving crews back on Wednesdays, mostly when work crews are available, to do a lot more pothole interception and crack repairs, so that we're trying to hold on as best I can tell you.
Sometimes it's as simple as when the new sidewalk was put in by the senior center, by the side, they didn't backhoe the dirt. And so the disparity was this big, this was new, I thought you go click, not click, and so I was the one that fell over the edge. Sidewalk. Do you want to know where you need to repair? Tell me to come for a walk, I'll show you. But, you know, these things, and they just tell somebody, walk around, look, that's all. And
Well,
some of them can be
well,
a simple path.
I think that pretty much everybody knows it's either my old Ford Ranger pickup truck or my MG or on my bicycle. I try to hit all the streets when I was, and Matt will do that now, I'm sure. Try and hit all the streets at least once a week just to make sure what's going on.
Anyway, thank you, George.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary Forsberg, 317 Dennison Street, Highland Park, obviously. I have issues about I have a number of questions, as always, but I have some pretty, I think, major issues about the reval that has taken place in Highland Park. I was here two weeks ago, and I had just received my letter. They estimated the value of my house at $553,000. The house right next door to me sold in September for $400,000. I talked to PPA. That house was not part of the 5 comparables they gave me. They gave me 5 comparables that had absolutely nothing to do with my house. They were all in the northern. I live on Dennison Street, as some of you know. They were all in strictly residential areas. Not on a street like Dennison Street, which is now zoned commercial for commercial redevelopment for a 4 to 5 story parking garage, 3 to 5 story parking garage and apartments. They did not take into account the location, and I don't know why they did not notice that the house right next door to me sold. It's not all that much different than my house. So I talked to them about it. They did reduce the assessment on my house, but it's still inappropriate. So I have a lot of questions about this. I'd like to know what kind of instructions they were given by the borough, by the council, in terms of what they should look at about location. Did you tell them that you have just rezoned large parts of the downtown area, and that houses across the street from most of those places are residential? They are not commercial, they are not professional office. Did you tell them that? Did they know that? I don't think they knew that. I also sent in a request for a complete list of all of the comparable sales that were used almost 2 weeks ago. I've not gotten that. And I was very curious to see if the house that was next door to me, which is totally an appropriate comp for anyone that lives on Dennison Street, not in the non-residential area.
30 seconds.
Okay. I have not received that list, but I still want to get that list. And I also would like to see, I know that when you do reval, 30% of the properties go up in terms of taxes, 30% go down, 30% stay the same. I would like to see an analysis of this, because I suspect that what you're going to do is hit up all the 44 properties that you selected, that you handpicked for special review by a separate company. That's going to go way up. All of those properties are people who have lawyers on staff who likely will challenge successfully their assessments. And
Time.
whenever people think their property taxes are going down, it's not going to hold in 2023.
Thank you, Mary.
Mary Botillon, 709 Madison. Number one, for the record, I'm one of the residents who continues to object to your intentions to make Highland Park a pot city destination, and who also objects to resolutions for letters of support for any of these businesses. For those who feel the same way, you can reach me at mbotteon@verizon.net. Number two, regarding the 5 pot shop applications which you want to issue letters of support for. Did any of these 5 indicate yes for a marijuana consumption lounge? If so, which ones? Please let me know when I'm finished. Number 3, once again, false information is being given to the Highland Park public regarding the pot ordinances that you approved. Specifically, the language in each of these resolutions is false with regard to this sentence. Ordinance number 21-2027 to permit up to 5 Class 5 retail cannabis businesses. That was not in Ordinance 21-2027. This significant land use change, specifically designating up to 5 Class 5, was made in Ordinance 22-2044. I have copies showing these ordinances where this language is false in tonight's resolutions for these 5 applicants. Number 4, in addition, either the cannabis application memo on the borough website is wrong, or the resolution language is wrong, as there are conflicting dates as to when you opened your RFP process. Again, when I'm done, please indicate which of these documents is wrong. Regarding the application and resolution for 176 Woodbridge Ave to host a pot shop, Stephen Mittler appears to be the son of Highland Park's 7 weeks ago mayor, Gail Mittler. Stephen would be the pot shop landlord of that location, and therefore would directly benefit from the fact that his mother just spent a large portion of her administration orchestrating and facilitating pot shops to come into Highland Park. There is concern that if you issue support for this pot shop location, it might possibly be a case of corruption the more it gets looked into. But certainly at this point, it appears unethical and a huge conflict of interest. Please do not issue a letter to 176 Woodbridge Ave for a pot shop. If you could now please answer the questions that I detailed in my statement.
Borough Attorney?
30 seconds.
Madam Mayor, as you know, we're in litigation with Mrs. Botillon, so my advice would be not to respond to any of those questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Lois Lubbing, North 2nd Avenue. I wonder, I did come a little bit late, I wonder if the new councilman has a name, because all I hear is new councilman.
So we said it.
I do. It's Jason Postelnik.
Thank you.
Postelnik. You're writing that down.
I'll find it. Thank you. And welcome. Catalytic converter expert. Isn't there a collar that is can be put on to prevent the cutting of the catalytic converter from the rest of the muffler system before or after? Isn't there something special they're doing?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Let's invent it. I wonder, agenda number 15Q, could someone please name the actual physical real addresses? 7 addresses adding to the parcel for Track C, I think it is.
Councilman Hale?
Stump the crowd.
We have to look.
The truth is, I don't have the addresses handy, but I can provide them. Can I describe
Yes.
the location?
Right, I don't
Yes,
have them
please
either,
do.
so if you could just describe where they are, it'd be great.
Essentially, this is around Track C and we discussed this at the redevelopment meeting last week. I don't know if you were in attendance or had a chance, but essentially, we're looking at extending the area in need area to either corner set on Second. Track C is on the borough parking lot site, so basically to the corner of Third and the corner of South Second.
Okay,
so
so-
I believe it's, I just don't have the address information on the tip of my tongue.
So there was
If it's not-
confusion about South Second and Raritan, so it's not the Sunoco that's part of this?
No,
group?
the adjacent to the
It's
market lot,
Victoria.
so yeah,
It's
the
all
corner
that-
lot adjacent on the same block as Track C.
Second to Third. And so with all these developments having been placed in Highland Park, constructed, what have we done to the sewer and water system that's 110 years old? And I still have a leak down the end of Denison Street. Harry Glazer I saw the trucks out there, the water company trucks many times. They jackhammered, I'm told. One leak is gone. The first original leak is back. It disappears and then it's back. Okay, so anyhow, what else have you done replacing the sewer system? We got sewage in the basement, my block. Neighbors, 18-inch, 12 inches, 7 inches. What have you done? All we hear, the reason this rehab or redevelopment is blaming 110-year-old water and sewers. I don't see any replacements. I see a few. I have the list of the repairs. What else is going to happen to prevent another catastrophe, especially adding another, whatever, 50 people alongside the almost 1,000 that are in the last 10 years with Pulte and Castle and Cleveland?
30 seconds.
Okay, I'll finish that, but that's going to be my question to you guys every time I'm here. What have you done so that this doesn't come up again? Thank you.
As you know, that as you are aware, and you just told us that the systems are over 100 years old, and we have been actively working on doing sewer relining and replacement. And as new development comes in and comes on track, that will be considered as well, because we do need relining and replacement.
We did relining.
But you can't do it. We did that back in early 2000.
Right.
And the process will continue. It's not we didn't do the entire town and that was it. There's much more to get done, and we can't do the entire town in 10 years and say, that's it, we're done.
So relining,
the process will continue.
Relining makes the pipe smaller because you're relining it. But so we're not adding any humongous new sections to it.
Terry? Yes.
I just want to clarify
Jumping
one
in a
point.
bit.
The project that Mayor Foster just mentioned was a relining of the water lines, I believe.
Yes,
correct.
Sewer is different. There are different approaches depending on if we're doing a road project and the road's open, you can replace the pipe more easily. If there's a new road, you can line it. So there's a lot of aspects, and our team at Middlesex Water, where we have a capital plan that we'll be presenting to the Public Works Committee for, we had that very extensive inspection done through town where we had the TV and camera, cleaning and camera work for the entire system. And we have a to-do list, a pretty considerable one, of both repairs and upgrades to the sewer system. And we will be looking at our redevelopment locations in particular as they relate to those projects.
Good. The manholes were changed, or many of them were made without holes so that the water wouldn't infill, whatever it's called. And now I forgot something else I was going to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's hard to follow, Lois. Dominic Sermonero, I live at 244 Harrison Avenue. And my question concerns the 5 locations on tonight's agenda. My questions are just 2. The first one is, what was the criteria used to select those 5 locations? That's the first question. Second question is, what investigation did the borough do, either by the police department or the planner, as to these locations, as the impact is going to be tremendous upon the borough? Those are my questions.
Our attorney?
Well, I could defer to the administrator, but the criteria used was set forth in the request for proposals. So there's an outline in that request that goes on for a page and a half about the different elements that the borough wanted to look at and the review committee wanted to look at in terms of making recommendations for the award of the local recommended licenses. So that's been spelled out since, I believe Terry issued that in June of last year. And that's the criteria that was evaluated when the applications came in. And beyond that, there was a committee of 3 that answered to the administrator, who checked out the various applicants and made a recommendation to the administrator, who's now made the recommendation to the council.
So the applicants who weren't selected, the same process took place, and there were reasons from their application that they didn't qualify for the site. Is that correct?
Well, there were 10 applications for the 5 slots, and each of them were evaluated under the same criteria. So each one of them in terms of site control, et cetera, and they were awarded points as they did that, and they added up the points at the end, and the 5 top were the ones that were recommended.
So the 5 who weren't selected didn't add up to the total points that the ones who were selected?
Correct. The top 5, and again, I could defer to the administrator who's making the recommendation, but the top 5 were the highest number of points on the evaluation.
Are those evaluations available to the public?
Well, if somebody submits an Oprah request, sure.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Reba Kaufman, 123 South Adelaide.
Just 1 second, Terry, you want to add something?
No, I just wanted to let you know we hit the 20-minute,
Oh.
one-minute mark, so it's up to you how you want to do it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll let you finish, although we hit the 20-minute mark. I'll let you, because you stood up already. Reba?
My name is Reba Kaufman. I live at 123 South Adelaide, Highland Park, apartment 4G. I've lived here all my life. I'm totally against any pot shops in Highland Park. I have personal experience. I also run a family doctor's office of what it does to the community, to our children who live very close to these shops that you've designated, and I'm totally against it. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Ordinance requires first reading.
An ordinance amending and supplementing the Code of the Borough of Highland Park, Chapter 380, Taxi Cab Fares, has been introduced in writing by the Economic Development Planning Committee for consideration of passage on first reading by title.
I have a motion to approve.
Motion to
No
approve.
reject.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilwoman Canavera?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Council President Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Yes.
Councilperson Postelnick?
Postelnick. Abstain. Like P-U-H. It's not spelled that way.
Okay. Okay. All right, now we move on to the consent agenda. Resolution, may I have a resolution to adopt or reject consent agenda 15A through 15T?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Canavera?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Council President Hirsch?
Yes, and I want to point out that these professional consultants, all are contracted and work with the borough and are vetted, and many of we have long relationships with, and the council is always coming up, is always assessing our relationships with our vendors, and we are always reassessing and making sure that we're getting the best service possible. So, yes to all. Thank you.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Yes, abstain 15L.
And Councilperson Postelnick?
Abstain, but I'd like to vote to approve 15S.
Okay. Resolution requires separate reading. 16A 2-23-75. Resolution to amend 2023 municipal treasury budget.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
I'm sorry.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Canavera?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Council President Hirsch?
Yes, and please let the record show Councilwoman Kim Chohan set the first motion.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Yes.
Councilperson Postelnick?
Yes.
16B 22-23-76, resolution for local support of applicant for Class 5 retail license for BLKBRN, LLC to operate retail cannabis at 176 Woodbridge Avenue, Borough of Highland Park, Middlesex County, New Jersey.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Canavera?
No.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Council President Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Abstain.
And Councilperson Postelnick?
Abstain.
So we have 3 yes, 1 no, and 2 abstentions.
Okay, it's adopted. Okay, Borough Attorney, adopted, okay. All right, Resolution 16C, 2-23-77, resolution on local support for applicants' Class 5 retail license for Anjac Life LLC to operate retail cannabis business at 225 Woodbridge Avenue in the Borough of Highland Park, County of Middlesex, New Jersey.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Canavera?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Council President Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Yes.
Councilperson Postelnick?
Abstain.
Okay. 16D, 2-23-78, resolution for local support of application for Class 5 retail license for Herbal City LLC to operate retail cannabis at 246 Raritan Avenue, Borough of Highland Park, County of Middlesex, New Jersey.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Canavera?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Council President Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Yes.
Councilperson Postelnick?
Abstain.
16E 2-23-79, resolution for local support of applicant for Class 5 retail license for Flow Highland Park LLC to operate retail cannabis at 85 Raritan Avenue in the Borough of Highland Park, County of Middlesex, New Jersey.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, sorry.
Councilwoman Canavera?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Council President Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Yes.
And Councilperson Postelnick?
Abstain.
16F 2-23-80, resolution for local support of applicant for Class 5 retail license for Main Street Dispensary LLC to operate cannabis business at 311 Raritan Avenue, Borough of Highland Park, County of Middlesex, New Jersey. Roll call. I'm sorry, motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Canavera?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Abstain.
Council President Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Yes.
Councilperson Postelnick?
Abstain.
Okay, now we move on to appointments. It has come to my attention that Abby Stern Cardinal has resigned from the Board of Health. However, we're going to, the following representative will be for the Board of Health: Chris Woodard, Laurel Cornfell, and Jesse Carson. Commission for Universal Access, Diane Fellman. Scott Brescher, ADA Coordinator. Lieutenant John Satchel, Police Department Representative. Emergency Management Council, John Satchel, Deputy Coordinator. Motion to confirm.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Canavera?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Council President Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Yes.
Councilperson Postelnick?
Abstain.
Okay. Now it's time for our second public discussion session. Each person has 3 minutes and may comment on any topic. The borough will monitor the time and will offer a 30-second warning and indicate when the 3 minutes has lapsed. The session will wrap up by 9 p.m. The borough clerk will monitor the time and indicate when 3 minutes has lapsed. She will give you a warning when there is a 30-second remaining. There will be a hard stop at the 3-minute mark to make sure that everyone has had a chance to speak. As a reminder, I may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement if it does not adhere to the 3 minutes provided, or if the statement is disruptive to the orderly conduct of this public meeting. It's disruptive or not on topic that's relevant to the borough governing body. Please announce your name and address for the record and speak into the microphone.
Hi, Lois Leving, North 2nd Avenue. I remembered what I forgot. How much will the borough be selling Track C for? My second time I'm asking.
How much would...
How much, what is the price?
Borough Administrator?
So we're
About?
sorry.
Just
go
1
ahead.
second.
We're in negotiations with the developer on the project, and we can't disclose that at this time.
Right. If it's possible that it'll be $0 or $1, I think you should be careful. I think that's what I know that's what happened in the deeds in the 50s with the Highland Park development when they gave apartment complexes at Montgomery Apartments and a lot of the buildings on 27 after World War II for development for the incoming veterans, and the changeover was from drastic Republican population to Democrats. Talk to Mr. Duca, except he's in heaven, and he'll tell you that's what happened. So, not for free. Thank you.
Councilmember Hale, do you have anything you wish to add?
No.
Thank you.
Mary Forsberg again, 317 Denison Street. I actually have two questions that aren't related to my other issue of the reval. I'm curious, you said that it was a 3-person committee that selected the 5 of the 10 pot shops. Who were the 3 members of the committee?
Borough Attorney?
And I'll just ask my second question. Of the 15 professional jobs that you just approved people for, were there any other people who wanted to be like, a professional in Highland Park? Did you actually have people to select from, or is this just the usual, the same people over and over? That seems to be the case from what I understand.
Borough Administrator?
We had an internal review committee. We had our borough clerk, our director of code enforcement, as well as our consulting planner, Chris Casenza, and myself, and we went through all the applications according to the criteria as outlined before. And then I went through it again myself prior to making a recommendation to the governing body. Usually it's louder than that. Yes, so it was myself, the borough clerk, Jennifer Santiago, Scott Brescher, our director of code enforcement, and our consulting planner, Chris Casenza of LRK, who met with me to go through all the applications that led into our recommendation to the governing body.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Kaplan, 323 Harrison Avenue in Highland Park. I will just add a personal experience about the problem with the sewer system in town. After Hurricane Ida, or Tropical Storm Ida, we had 3 feet of sewage in our basement. It took a year to take care of cleaning it up and
putting in infrastructure so that that doesn't happen again. It took thousands of dollars. We lost a lot of our property out of that basement. It wasn't the first time that it happened. We had had 17 inches of sewage some 15 years earlier, which is why we put $5,000 worth of infrastructure in the basement so that we don't have that again, given that storms are happening more frequently and more severely. It was a huge, traumatic loss to have 3 feet of sewage come into our basement within a matter of minutes.
Jill Medinitz, 242 South 6th. I saw a paper outside about the sewer system and how we could help basically get rid of all that debris. Is there anything we can give a Boy Scout projects for their Eagle projects to help go to the different sewer systems, give them gloves, give them masks, bags, and have them clean up in front of the sewers to clean up all the leaves and all the trash? I mean, it's got to be cleaned up. I mean, Department of Public Works, I heard, is supposed to do this, but they've got other things to do.
Madam Mayor, I can address that
Yes,
if you will.
please.
And with apologies to Council President.
That has been in your bucket for a while, so yes, you can address it.
It has been. So I'll be addressing more police, fire, first aid, and emergency matters. But Sustainable Highland Park brought in a program called Adopt a Drain, where you volunteer to literally adopt a drain. I, many years ago, even before the program, adopted the one at the corner of Johnson and South 2nd, where I live. The program involves cleaning out the water bottles that flow there, the garbage that flows there, the leaves that create dams so the water doesn't run in. The volunteers don't go down into the drains because it's dangerous. But that's what they do on top, and they actually report that in so that we can keep track of that. And right now, I think around 20% of the drains are adopted by the program. And if you go online on the borough website and you look for the GIS map of the sewer system, it actually, I think about 98% by cooperating with the county and their GIS system, we've managed to map out almost all of the outlets in town to do that, to keep track of them. So that Adopt a Drain program is going on. That has freed up the DPW to actually get down in the storm sewers, to clean out the trash that does accumulate there, because they have to lift the, either get the suction machine down in there, or if they can't, to pull the grate up.
It's just not enough, because I walk around with this plenty and I see
Every time the wind blows, and more often every time the rain washes stuff down the street, we're going to get that, so that it's an ongoing mission. It is probably an unforgiving one. We maybe break even with it, but that's what we're doing.
Let's tell property owners they need to leave the property and put it in bags and clean that up.
Some of us do, but some of it, I have a corner property that seems I end up with everybody's recycling during a windstorm. And unfortunately, I've tried to train the wind to take it across the Lafayette Apartments, but it just doesn't work. I usually get there. So just to make light of it, we all have the problem. We all understand it. And the Adopt a Drain program is of volunteers and our neighbors and us taking care of the problem.
Hi, Alyssa Kaplan again, 323 Harrison Avenue. So glad to hear that you're going to be including the fire department in dealing with the problems around sewage. Do let me recommend hip waders on the trucks, because when the fire department arrived to help us out because our utilities were at risk, they had no hip waders and looked at how deep it was and said, we can't do anything here. So hip waders would be a useful thing.
I know when I went down into some of the the sewers, the old-fashioned brick ones, and was standing there in street shoes. I understand.
Thank you.
Lois Lemming, speaking of sewers, let's go back even further. 1988-89, 3 sewer floods we had, other people had. The borough had lots here and there. And the jet vac runner, the worker, was 3 doors down. He lost 2 entire basement kitchens. The upstairs one was okay, single-family house. He jet vaced, which is like roto-rootering, constantly. The sanitary system I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the storm drain that goes out to the river where the leaves accumulate. Now, you slowed that down. I never saw the jet vac for decades until now Middlesex Water has come out and has cleaned a few times. But he was doing it religiously almost every other month. Now, that takes manpower. We got a mattress on Denison Street that's been out there for a month, and it'll be out there till April because you don't have the manpower to pick up. I want to make a welcome to Highland Park for all these people. You're not going to get bulk trash pickup except April, May, whatever it is, not June and July, August, maybe it is June, and not again till September. You can't do this, keep doing this, cutting back to people, and then you spend, and you don't get a lot of money for the properties that you are probably going to sell. It'll be a very interesting welcome mat. Welcome to Highland Park. Welcome wagon used to exist. And tell them all the problems here, tripping on the pavement, tripping on the sidewalks that belong to the borough, not to the homeowners, the perimeter sidewalks. We won't go into that, but we know that's true. I mean, okay, we're going to see a mattress there forever. This is what you're doing. We're cutting back, and I think DPW needs more help and more workers to do some of the leaves, and they do a lot, and it's the leaves and the recycling that ends up in the gutters, but I'm talking about the sanitary. She's talking about the sanitary system. That's different. You need to roto-rooter it for whatever reason more often. Thanks.
Thank you, Lois. We'll look into that. Borough Administrator, can you look into that? And I'm quite sure Councilmember Hirsch will look into getting that removal on Denison.
Good evening, Robert Slevich, 123 Magnolia Street. I see that after this public comment session, you have a working session regarding the vacant property ordinance, and I was kind of disappointed that I saw that was on the agenda for this evening, but there's no indication of what you're considering changing to or amending that ordinance and what that might look like. You know, I'll be sticking around to find out what that is, but without knowing what you're looking at, it's hard to talk about it. But what I would like to see is that you do enforce it in some way and make it stronger so that we can do something about all the vacant properties that we have on Main Street right now, and that is enforceable. Reading over what's on the books right now, it really doesn't seem like you've used it over the last couple of years, and that there's really not a good way of enforcing it, because all it really needs to be done is say, hey, I'm marketing my business to out there, I have it up for rent, and then they could sidestep the ordinance. Have you ever enforced that ordinance over the last?
It's on the books. We're going to be discussing it further to see how we can boost or we're going to be discussing it later on to look at how we can make improvements.
Thank you.
Mary Botion, 709 Madison. I just want to add one other item regarding the 5 pot shops that you plan to issue letters for this evening. Just so the public understands how this is not a particularly cost-effective approach for Highland Park. Let's say these 5, they happen to come in, they come up with $1 million of revenue. Highland Park's 2% would be all of $20,000, which, as our chief knows, is not even enough to hire another police officer to handle all of those extra 5 and all the petty crime and nuisances and loitering that would occur. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Seeing that there's no further questions, we move to would you like a 15-minute recess? We move to either a 5 minutes recess, or council members, would you want to go 5-minute recess, or we just move into work session?
Work session.
Work session.
Okay. Now we're going to move into our work session portion of the meeting. Work session, no formal action will be taken at this time. Do we want to move down here, or we're going to sit up?
Let's stay up here. I don't think
Okay.
we'll set up here.